Meatballs in one form or another are eaten the world over in many cuisines, and lots of families even have their own secret meatball recipe which they've handed down through the generations. I'm Florence Sanderman, publisher of recipesforus.co.uk, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make perfect meatballs guaranteed not to fall apart when you cook them. And once you've mastered the basic technique, you can add extra ingredients or seasonings to create your own secret family meatball recipe. Happy cooking! To serve two, you'll need 225 grams, 8 ounces of minced meat such as beef, lamb or pork, half a large onion very finely chopped or preferably grated, 2 to 3 tablespoons of freshly chopped herbs such as parsley or thyme, or if you prefer to use dried herbs, then just 1 to 2 teaspoons, 1 garlic clove finely crushed, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste or puree, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, salt and freshly ground black pepper, flour for coating, vegetable oil for shallow frying. Start by placing all the ingredients apart from the flour and the vegetable oil in a very large mixing bowl, and with a knife just start to mix that together, and remember to season with plenty of black pepper and some salt. Once that's basically mixed up, get rid of this knife and get your hand stuck in. Now the reason for this is because one of the main complaints that I've received about meatballs is that they fall apart when they're being cooked. Now there's probably 2 reasons for this. It could be that the ingredients such as the onion haven't been chopped finely enough, and the other reason is that people won't get their hand stuck in. But if you do it this way, squidging the mixture up as you're mixing, not only will you make sure that all the ingredients and seasonings are well mixed into the meat, but you can also squidge it up so that when you come to roll it into balls, they don't fall apart. Whenever you're using vegetables, including onions, celery, or even peppers, they must be very finely chopped. In fact, it's probably better to process them in a food processor. However, once you've done that, that is the end of the use of food processors as far as meatballs are concerned. It's very difficult to actually put the meat and all the other ingredients into a food processor and not over-process it. And then you end up with something that's more like pate than a meatball. As you'll see from this mixture, the use of the tomato paste, Worcester sauce and the onions, which were very finely chopped, has given me quite a smooth mixture. So, now that this is all well mixed up and equally distributed, we can start to make our meatballs. It's best to keep them about the size of a large walnut. That's a bit too much. Really squidge them up with your hands so that the ball is nice and compact, and that way it won't break up when you start to cook it. So once you have all your meatballs, I've managed to get 12, which is a nice even number for 2. You'll notice that I haven't actually coated them yet with flour, And that's because if you coat them as you go along, the mixture tends to take the flour up and absorb it. And then you end up with a slightly stodgy meatball, and you'll probably have to coat them all again. So wait until you've done all of the balls and then coat lightly with the flour. Shake off the excess and place on another plate ready for frying. Once you've coated all the balls with flour, heat the oil in as large a frying pan as you can possibly get until it's very hot. Now the reason that you need a large frying pan is because you don't want the meatballs to touch whilst they're cooking. So once the oil is very hot, just start placing the meatballs well spaced apart in the oil. You don't need much more than 1/4 inch of vegetable oil. If you really wanted to, you could do it in butter or in olive oil. I've just used vegetable oil. And there, as you can see, they're very well spaced apart. One other tip I'd give you is that once you start frying them, just leave them and don't mess about with them for about a minute, just to make sure that they're browning well on the underside. If you try to move them before they're sealed on the first side, they'll stick to the pan and break up. So resist temptation. And I just take a look, and there we have it. I can start to turn these now. I'm using a spoon here. Turn them, but be very gentle because you really don't want them to break apart. You could try using tongs, which may be a little easier, but you do have to be so gentle. And once again, once you've turned them, just leave them for a good minute before you start to turn them again. So it's been about 5 minutes, and my meatballs are well browned on all sides. At this point, you can either continue to fry them over a reduced heat for a further 5–10 minutes, depending on how large the balls are, or you can transfer them to a sauce and finish cooking them that way, which is what I'm going to do here. Just take that off. I've been cooking a very simple tomato-based sauce, to which I've added some beef stock, a pinch of sugar, plenty of salt and pepper, some mixed herbs and some basil. You can use whatever you like. If you just cook that for perhaps 10 minutes, and then you can add your meatballs. And continue cooking them for a further 10 minutes or so. And whilst you're cooking them, just spoon the sauce over every once in a while. Scrumptious homemade meatballs. Excellent served with pasta, rice, or creamy mashed potatoes.